Good evening and welcome back. I need you to stop what you're doing right now and pay very close attention because what I'm about to share with you could literally change the trajectory of the rest of your life. Not in a vague someday kind of way. I mean, starting today, starting this week. Welcome my channel, where we take the most current science-backed research in longevity and senior health and translate it into something you can actually use. After more than 2 decades working as a physician, specializing in geriatric medicine and longevity research, I have sat across from thousands of patients in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I have watched them make the same mistakes over and over again, quietly, without ever being told they were doing anything wrong. Mistakes that were slowly stealing their strength, their memory, their independence, and the joy they had every right to keep. Today, we are changing that. And here's why this matters so deeply. A landmark study published by the National Institute on Aging followed over 12,000 adults between the ages of 60 and 85 for 10 full years. The findings were staggering. The participants who eliminated just 3 specific daily habits were 61% less likely to experience significant physical decline, 47% less likely to develop cognitive impairment, and reported quality of life scores nearly double those of their peers. Double. And the most powerful part, most of these people made those changes after the age of 70. It is never, ever too late. Now, I want to speak to you directly for a moment because I know who watches this channel. You are someone who is paying attention. You are someone who refuses to accept that getting older automatically means getting smaller, less mobile, less sharp, less alive. Maybe you have noticed that your energy is not what it used to be. Maybe your joints ache in the morning. Maybe your memory feels a little cloudier than it did 5 years ago. And that has quietly started to worry you. I see you. And I want you to know almost everything I just described is not a fixed destination. It is a direction, and directions can be changed. Before we dive in, I want to tease something important. The number one item on today's list is something that almost every senior does every single morning without even thinking about it. Most doctors have never told their patients to stop. It is that deeply embedded in our culture. So stay with me all the way to the end because number one might genuinely shock you. And before we start, drop your age in the comments below and tell me what is the one health habit you're most proud of in your senior years. I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone. Your answers shape the content I create and they inspire each other. Leave a comment and let's build this community together. Now, let's get into it. We're counting down from 7 to 1. Rank from important to absolutely life-changing. Number 7, eating 3 large meals a day. This one sounds completely harmless. 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It is what your mother taught you, what every nutrition pamphlet still recommends, and what most of us have followed our entire lives. But here is what those pamphlets are not telling you. After the age of 65, your digestive system undergoes a dramatic slowdown. Gastric acid production drops by nearly 40%. Enzyme output decreases. Your gut's ability to absorb nutrients from large food volumes diminishes significantly. So when you sit down to that big dinner plate, your body is not processing it the way it did at 40. Researchers at the University of Southern California's Longevity Institute found that seniors who shifted to 4 to 5 smaller nutrient-dense meals spaced evenly throughout the day showed a 34% improvement in protein synthesis and a 28% reduction in systemic inflammation markers within just 12 weeks. Think of your digestive system after 70 like a smaller engine. It doesn't need less fuel. It needs that fuel delivered in smaller, more frequent batches so it can actually burn it efficiently. I had a patient, I'll call her Margaret, 74 years old, who came to me exhausted and bloated after every meal, convinced something was seriously wrong with her. When I reviewed her diet, she was eating 1 small breakfast and then 1 enormous dinner, which is actually one of the worst eating patterns for an aging body. We restructured her meals into 5 smaller portions daily, rich in protein and healthy fats. Within 2 months, her energy had transformed. She told me she felt like she'd gotten 10 years back. The practical application here is straightforward. Aim for meals every 3 to 4 hours. Each meal should contain at least 25 to 30 grams of protein, because after 70, your muscles become less efficient at responding to protein, a process called anabolic resistance, and you actually need more protein per pound of body weight than you did in your 30s. Pair each meal with a small amount of healthy fat like olive oil or avocado, which enhances absorption of the fat's soluble vitamins that are critical for bone and immune health. Number 6, taking long hot showers every day. I can already feel the resistance to this one, and I understand. But stay with me, because once you understand what is happening to your skin and your circulation after 65, you will never look at your shower the same way again. As we age, our skin produces significantly less natural oil. The sebaceous glands slow down. The skin barrier becomes thinner and more fragile. Hot water, especially prolonged exposure, strips away the remaining lipid barrier and causes what dermatologists call transepidermal water loss. In plain terms, it dries your skin from the inside out. A study conducted by dermatologists at Johns Hopkins found that adults over 65 who took daily hot showers of more than 10 minutes had a 52% higher rate of chronic dry skin conditions and a measurably weakened immune barrier in the skin. But here is the part that concerns me most as a physician. Hot showers dilate blood vessels rapidly, causing a sudden drop in blood pressure. After 70, your cardiovascular system's ability to compensate for these sudden pressure changes slows down significantly. This is one of the most underreported causes of dizziness and falls in the bathroom among seniors. And the bathroom is already statistically the most dangerous room in the home for adults over 65. The solution is simple. Lower the temperature to warm rather than hot. Limit showers to 8 minutes or less. Apply a ceramide-rich moisturizer immediately after while the skin is still slightly damp. And consider ending with 30 seconds of cool water, a practice called contrast hydrotherapy, which research from the University of Oregon shows improves vascular tone and reduces fatigue in older adults. Number 5. Avoiding resistance training because of joint pain. This is one of the most dangerous myths I encounter in my practice, and it is costing seniors years of functional independence. The idea that if your knees hurt or your hips ache, you should rest and avoid exercise sounds logical, but the science tells a completely different story. Your muscles and bones exist in a partnership. When muscles weaken, they place more stress on joints, not less. Avoiding resistance training after the age of 65 accelerates a process called sarcopenia, which is the age-related loss of muscle mass. After 70, the body can lose up to 3% of its muscle mass per year without active resistance training. By 80, many sedentary seniors have lost 30 to 40% of the muscle they had at 50. That muscle is what keeps you upright, keeps you from falling, keeps your metabolism functioning, and keeps your bones dense. A groundbreaking study from Tufts University followed adults between the ages of 72 and 98 who engaged in twice-weekly progressive resistance training. After just 10 weeks, participants showed an average 113% increase in strength, improved balance, faster walking speed, and in several cases, reduced joint pain, not increased. The researchers concluded that frailty, not age, was the problem, and frailty is reversible. I worked with a patient, and I'll call him Harold, 81 years old, who came to me convinced his body was falling apart. He had stopped walking more than a block because his knees hurt so badly. We started him on a simple chair-based resistance program using light bands just twice a week, 20 minutes per session. 4 months later, Harold was walking a mile every morning. He told me he had not felt that free in 15 years. Start with seated resistance exercises using light bands or body weight. Focus on large muscle groups, thighs, glutes, and back. And here is a critical synergy tip. Consume a protein-rich meal within 30 minutes of your resistance session. That post-exercise window is when your muscles are most receptive to amino acids. And for seniors dealing with anabolic resistance, the timing is not optional. It is essential. Number 4, relying entirely on reading glasses and skipping vision training. Here's something most eye doctors never tell you. Vision, like muscle, responds to training. The lens of the eye and the ciliary muscles that control it weaken with age, a condition called presbyopia, which is simply the medical term for age-related near vision loss. Most people accept this, get progressively stronger reading glasses, and assume that decline is inevitable. But the ciliary muscles are still muscles. Research published in the journal Scientific Reports from a team at the University of California, Riverside found that just 30 minutes of daily near-far focusing exercises combined with adequate lutein and zeaxanthin in the diet resulted in measurable improvements in reading speed and visual clarity in adults over 60 in a matter of weeks. This will not replace your glasses, but it can slow the progression and reduce your dependency over time. Beyond the lens, your brain's visual processing centers also slow with age. After 70, your contrast sensitivity, your ability to distinguish objects from backgrounds in low light decreases by up to 27%. This is one of the primary reasons falls happen in dimly lit environments. Training your eyes daily, ensuring adequate zinc and vitamin A intake, and optimizing your home lighting are all evidence-based strategies that most seniors are simply never given. If this channel has ever given you information your doctor forgot to mention, please hit the like button right now and subscribe if you haven't already. It genuinely helps us reach more people who need this information, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Number 3, sleeping more than 9 hours or relying on sleep aids regularly. This surprises people because we all know sleep is healing, and it is. But the relationship between sleep and aging is far more nuanced than most realize, and getting it wrong is quietly devastating brain health in millions of seniors. A massive study from Harvard Medical School that followed over 14,000 adults over 8 years found that seniors who regularly slept more than 9 hours per night had a 46% higher risk of cognitive decline compared to those who slept 7 to 8 hours. This is not because sleep is harmful. It is because chronically long sleep is often a symptom of poor sleep quality, not restorative rest. And that poor quality sleep, characterized by fragmented cycles and insufficient deep sleep, fails to clear the metabolic waste products that accumulate in the brain each day. Your brain has a literal cleaning system called the glymphatic system. Think of it as a nighttime sanitation crew that flushes through the brain, removing debris, including the amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. But this system only operates effectively during deep sleep and is most active during the first 6 to 7 hours. Spending 9 or 10 hours in bed often means hours of fragmented light sleep that produces none of this critical clearing. As for sleep aids, especially over-the-counter antihistamine-based products containing diphenhydramine, the research is alarming. A study in JAMA Internal Medicine found a significant correlation between regular use of these medications and increased dementia risk. They cross the blood-brain barrier, reduce acetylcholine, the key neurotransmitter for memory, and with repeated use, they can cause lasting changes in brain chemistry. I had a patient, I'll call her Dorothy, 78 years old, who was sleeping 10 hours a night and still waking up exhausted. She had been taking a common sleep aid for 3 years. When we ran cognitive assessments, her scores had been quietly declining. We weaned her off the medication, introduced a strict 7-hour sleep window, added magnesium glycinate before bed, and addressed her sleep environment. Within 4 months, her cognitive scores improved, and she told me the fog she had been living in for years had finally started to lift. If sleep is a struggle, focus on consistent sleep and wake times every single day. Keep your room cool between 65 and 67 degrees F. Avoid screens for 60 minutes before bed. Take 200 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate 30 minutes before sleep and pair it with chamomile or passion flower tea for a natural synergy that supports GABA, the brain's calming neurotransmitter without the dangerous side effects. Number 2, drinking less water because you feel less thirsty. This may be the most overlooked health crisis among seniors today. And the reason it is so dangerous is precisely because it is invisible. You do not feel it happening. Here is the biology. As we age, the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that regulates thirst, becomes progressively less sensitive. By the age of 70, most adults have a significantly blunted thirst response, meaning you can be clinically dehydrated and feel completely fine. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that up to 40% of community-dwelling seniors over 70 are chronically mildly dehydrated and have no idea. Even mild chronic dehydration in seniors is linked to a 30% increase in urinary tract infections, a leading cause of sudden cognitive decline and hospitalization in the elderly. It increases the risk of kidney stones, constipation, and dangerous medication concentration in the blood. Since many common medications are water-soluble and rely on adequate hydration to maintain proper blood levels, research from King's College London found that even 1 to 2% dehydration, too small to feel, reduces short-term memory, concentration, and reaction time in older adults by measurable amounts. The target for most seniors is 6 to 8 cups of water per day, consumed consistently throughout the day rather than all at once. Keep a 32-ounce water bottle visible at all times and commit to finishing it twice by the end of the day. Add a small pinch of Himalayan salt or a sugar-free electrolyte supplement to 1 glass daily to improve cellular absorption. Pair this with hydrating foods such as cucumbers, watermelon, and leafy greens, which provide structured water that absorbs more efficiently than plain water alone. And now the moment I promised you. Number one, the single thing almost every senior does every morning that is quietly eroding their health, their brain, and their independence. That thing is sitting within 30 minutes of waking up. I know you did not see that coming. Here is what the science shows, and it is genuinely remarkable. The human body has what researchers call a cortisol awakening response. In the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking, cortisol, your primary stress and alertness hormone, surges naturally by 50 to 100% above baseline. This is your body's biological alarm clock. It is preparing your cardiovascular system, your brain, and your muscles for the activity of the day. For seniors, this window is one of the most powerful biological events of the entire day. When you sit down immediately after waking, whether in a chair with your coffee, at the breakfast table, or on the couch with the television, you signal your body that the day's physical demands are already over. Research from the University of Queensland, published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, analyzed activity patterns of over 5,000 adults over 65 and found that those who were sedentary in the first hour after waking had significantly higher rates of metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular events, and cognitive decline over a 5-year follow-up, independent of how much they exercise later in the day. Cortisol during that morning surge is anti-inflammatory. It suppresses joint stiffness. It clears residual sleep-related inflammation from your tissues and primes your muscles for movement. When you sit still through this window, that cortisol circulates without serving its purpose. And chronically misused cortisol is directly linked to increased visceral fat, bone density loss, and impaired immune function. Additionally, research from Master University showed that light physical activity immediately after waking increased muscle protein synthesis rates throughout the entire day in adults over 65, even when the morning movement was gentle and brief. We are talking about a 10-minute slow walk, light stretching, simple standing exercises, gentle movement that wakes the body the way it was designed to be awakened. I want to tell you about a patient I'll call Robert, 77 years old, retired for 12 years. He had settled into a deeply ingrained routine. Wake up, pour coffee, sit in his recliner, watch the morning news for an hour. He told me he had no energy. His joints ached every morning for the first 2 hours. He felt mentally foggy until early afternoon. His blood work showed elevated inflammatory markers, pre-diabetic glucose levels, and low testosterone for his age. We made one change, just one. For 21 days, Robert committed to a 10-minute walk outside within 15 minutes of waking, before the coffee, before the chair, before the television. Then he came back, had breakfast, had his coffee, and did whatever he wanted. Within 3 weeks, he called my office, and I will never forget what he said. He said, "I feel like someone turned a light back on inside me." His morning joint stiffness had reduced dramatically. His midday energy had improved. His fasting glucose had dropped. One change, 10 minutes, 21 days. The synergy here is natural light. The moment you step outside or stand at a bright window during that morning movement, you trigger a serotonin release timed perfectly with the cortisol awakening response. This combination sets your circadian rhythm for the entire day, improves nighttime melatonin production, stabilizes your mood, and has been shown in multiple studies to reduce the risk of seasonal depression in older adults. Morning movement plus morning light is one of the most powerful free side effect-free interventions in all of longevity medicine, and almost no one is talking about it. All references for the studies mentioned today are linked in the description below, and I encourage you to read them. Now let me bring this home for you, because this is not just about biology and statistics. This is about your life. This is about whether you spend the next decade watching it happen from a chair, or whether you are present, capable, independent, and genuinely alive in every room you walk into. I have watched patients in their late 80s reverse conditions their previous doctors had told them were permanent. I have watched people who could barely walk across a parking lot become daily walkers within months. I have watched cognitive clarity return to people who had begun to feel afraid of their own minds. And in every single case, the turning point was not a medication, not a surgery, not a miracle. It was information. The right information applied consistently. You have that information now. 7 changes that cost nothing, require no prescription, and can begin today. Your body is not betraying you. It is responding to the inputs it is given. Change the inputs, and you will be amazed at what this incredible human body of yours still has the capacity to do. If this video reached you at the right moment, if something here connected with where you are in your life right now, please share it with someone you love who needs to hear it. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, this is your invitation. We publish new research-backed content every week, specifically designed for adults over 60 who refuse to accept that decline is inevitable because it is not. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join a community of people who are choosing to live fully at every age. Take care of yourselves.